So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us at our Celebrity Luxury and Global Real Estate Market Shift Update. We got some great guests for you here today, and we appreciate you joining us. But before we get started, I want to, we couldn't do the things that we do. We couldn't do these connects. We couldn't do our in-person events. We couldn't do the things that we do without the support of our sponsors. And we love our sponsors. We love our industry partners and how involved they are and engaged. So I'm going to introduce a couple of them here this morning. So we're going to talk to Matt Hay with Chase Bank and Stephanie Overmeyer with Cross Country. Let's start with you, Stephanie. Tell us a little bit about you and Cross Country Mortgage.
Hi there. Thank you. Yes, my name's Stephanie Overmeyer, and I'm with Cross Country Mortgage. At Cross Country Mortgage, we pride ourselves on customer service, knowledge, passion, integrity, and a wide variety of products. In my past 25 years of lending, I've never seen a market shift so quickly. Lenders like myself, we have to be on our toes and adjust to what our consumers need and want. So at Cross Country, we have a lock and shop program. We lock in the interest rate and allow our clients to shop for a home. This is a great example from yesterday. Wednesday rates, not so bad. Yesterday, the market kind of went haywire. So lock and shop will help our buyers feel secure with their rate before they actually go out and look for a home. We do have a $3,000 buyer credit. So any listing agents, please come see me for details. We have a 15-day close option. What this does, it'll reduce buyer remorse and we'll have a faster time to close and get you paid, as well as no additional mortgage payment for the seller. If your buyer goes through our fast track program, we'll guarantee a 10-day closing or a 10K back to your buyer or your seller, and that's the lister's choice. We offer products that'll lower our customers' interest rates by 2% the first year, 1% the second year. The lower rate will help your buyers with a better buying power. I do send all my customers through fast track, so they're fully underwritten and approved before they look for a home. This will guarantee the 10-day close from acceptance date. We do recognize that sellers and buyers right now sometimes don't need the 10 days, but this program and process will already be in place for a fast closing in case you need it. The program also eliminates any questions or concerns with verifications, especially employment verifications, because all of that is completed prior to going out and home shopping. Cross Country has a cash purchase program, and what that is we have a program where buyers can make cash offers. And we know that this is still working for our buyers and sellers. The program keeps our buyers competitive in the market where we're still seeing multiple offers. I do offer a couple credit classes or classes with CE. So we have a credit repair class, and it's approved with DORA, 2 free credits. A Title 101 class, it's a 1 credit DORA approved, and a farming class where anyone who attends will leave with possible listing leads. So just give me a call, email, text, and I want to help try find ways to expand your business. And I'll put my information in the chat. Cross Country also, we lend in all 50 states. So let me know how I can help. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Will you put your information in the chat so people want to reach out? They know how to get a hold of you.
I sure will.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. And next we have Matthew Hay. Matthew's with Chase, who is one of our annual partners here at DMAR. They support us in all sorts of ways. So Matthew, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what Chase has to offer.
Of course. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Nobu. And of course, thanks, DMAR, for having us on. So I'm sure you've all heard of Chase. I won't tell you about all the incredible special programs we have because quite honestly, we're a pretty traditional lender. But what I will tell you about is, because the market is shifting, I want to talk a little bit about how Chase can help you guys get new business. The first one is Chase Agent Express. If you guys are not already a part of this program, what it does is it gives you access to any Chase customer that gets pre-approved either on the buy side or the sell side and has a need and does not already have a real estate agent. So this is nationwide. They're basically free leads. You don't pay up front. You will give up a percentage of your commission, which the program will talk about more. But if you want to get an invite to that, please let me know. I'm happy to get you in there. We're always looking to add high-performing agents to our network. And the final thing that I'll leave you with, for those of you in Colorado, if you're looking to farm an area, if you're looking to get some marketing out there, I, as well as every other Chase home lending advisor, has access to a significant amount of free marketing. We'd love to do some co-branded things. I'd love to meet with you guys, have lunch, learn a little bit more about your business, and talk about how we can expand and find those buyers instead of waiting for them to come to us. Same thing on the sell side. If you want to learn more about some of that joint marketing, I'm happy to do that here in Colorado, which is my home state. For those of you who are outside of Colorado, I'm sure there's a Chase home lending advisor nearby. I'm happy to get you connected with them. We've got some great people on the team, and we're really looking to attack the business through this slow season and make sure that we're adding to the bottom line versus just asking you guys to send your customers over to us. Let's talk about how we can partner and help each other grow. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Got lots of options here from our great industry partners who are here to support you. Sounds like here in Colorado, as well as those of you maybe who are in Florida, or those of you who are joining us from Toronto. I'm sure there's someone out there that can help as well. So let's get on with this event. So first, I'm going to introduce our speakers. Evan Sage was born and raised in central Toronto, spending his whole life in the neighborhoods that he now works. He understands the nuances of Toronto's various communities, and he wants to achieve success in this business by earning a reputation as someone who will provide a level of service that is unparalleled. This has taken him down many interesting roads. I'm sure we'll hear about those today. He has dedicated his education to negotiating, marketing, business development, and staying ahead of the curve with technology. Every year, he attends numerous international conferences and unconferences, which help him learn how he can provide the most efficient, effective, and thorough service from the brightest minds in our industry. And next we have Rogers Healy. Rogers is a proud Texas native. Cowboys fan?
No.
Maybe? No. Okay, no. And he's proud to be the owner and CEO of the largest independently owned real estate brokerage in North Texas, Rogers Healy and Associates Real Estate. From a young age, Rogers knew he wanted to do something special and something big. And after taking a swing at real estate, he hit a home run. Looking forward to hearing more about that. After a few short years of learning from the best, Rogers Healy and Associates Real Estate was founded in 2006. Today, his company has over 500 real estate agents, approximately 50 full-time staff members, and almost 30,000 square feet of office space. In addition, Rogers Healy has founded 4 sister companies under the Rogers Healy Companies umbrella. He's got Healy Global Real Estate and Relocation, Healy Property Management, Roger Healy Associates Commercial, and Roger Healy Associates Land and Lake, which was formed in 2021. And then, of course, joining us today to moderate our 2 guests is Nobu Hata, DMAR's CEO. And I don't think I need to go into his entire bio. I think you all know who Nobu is. And welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Julie. Rogers, Evan, thank you. Evan, I think you need a longer bio. Just an FYI with that one. But thank you guys for both being here. And for those
That's a
of you
problem
guys,
when you don't respond to the emails and you guys just go out and grab whatever off the internet. That sounded like LinkedIn to me.
damn right we did.
Sorry.
It sounded great though. But I've known these two for a million years, and it's been, in general, awesome watching these guys grow. And then when I was an agent, my wife even now gets business from these two. So it's to be able to have relationships with folks like these two is amazing. But today we're going to talk about with Miami and Texas and Toronto in the house. We're going to talk about this market shift that actually may not be happening in your guys' segment, but we're talking about celebrity, luxury, and international real estate, which these two guys are experts in, and what special sauce makes them tick. So maybe we start out with kind of like this baseline, guys. Like, what are you seeing now? Like we're talking about market shift in the traditional real estate end of things for a bit now, more so in the last couple weeks. Yesterday, especially with the Fed rate doing their thing. What are you seeing in your guys' markets, luxury, upper end? Rogers, to start with you. What are you seeing with that kind of the upper echelon of buyers and sellers right now?
Yeah, and so we're based in North Texas, and I'm in Dallas, but we're technically all across the state. But I'd say probably 70% of our revenue is within 90 miles of Dallas. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely slowed down, and I think all of us that have done real estate longer than 3 years, not to be sadistic, but we're welcoming the stabilization, which I think has happened. But we're seeing days on market, accumulate over 10 days, which I think is healthy. But as far as the luxury market, which in Dallas, I would put luxury, over $1 million probably, but really over 2 for the stuff that doesn't just turn overnight. That's slowed down a lot. But the other thing too that people have to realize is that residential real estate is seasonal no matter what the conditions are. And so I think that we're just seeing a lot of, of stabilization in general, where COVID hit March of 20, everybody, obviously went into lockdown, rightfully so. And then it didn't really start getting busy again until June. And so we had 2 quarters and 2 seasons, crammed into 2 months, and now it's starting to level off. So, the luxury market here, inventory normally is 6 to 8 months pre-COVID. And it's just looking like it's getting back to that. And with interest rates doing what they've been doing, I personally think that's going to accelerate the luxury market, especially in places like Dallas, where people, I've gotten my butt handed to me the last few months in the stock market. I'm going to ride it out, but I do think some people are going to eventually just pull the cord, and they're going to want to park their money into a tangible asset, where historically that's in a real estate, it's a real estate play. But I think what's going to happen is people are going to go and take a little bit more of a bite on their primary residence. And, in the luxury market, that could be a 20% jump, where in places like Dallas and Nashville, Atlanta, Toronto, where people are moving to year round, I think we're going to see a huge uptick probably in Q1 of next year, which goes back to me being consistent with the seasons. That's not necessarily a busy quarter for luxury. So yeah, it's normalized a little bit, but the short of it is I think that this little recess that we're having with that market, whether it's in Miami, Dallas, or Toronto, I think the OGs are grateful for it, because it gives us a chance to flush the toilet with people that got lucky, and now the grinders get to win again.
Are you sensing pent up demand? So I mean, I'm sensing it here, just kind of regular markets, right? But there's folks that are waiting. Evan mentioned it, and we'll talk to you in a second, Evan. But are you sensing pent up demand with that higher end?
Yeah, but I mean, across the board, yeah. But again, it's all relative. And pre-COVID, the indexes that Dallas was in, or the index that we were in, were with blue collar cities. So when Dallas is compared to Pittsburgh, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, as far as growth, and all of a sudden we become the bullseye of the real estate boom, it changes. But I think you got to realize that a lot of y'all that are doing deals in Denver, Miami, Toronto, and Dallas, or Tyler, wherever you are, for the last 2 years, you show a house under $1 million, and it's kind of like a new iPhone coming out with people waiting to get in. And 99, all those people lose except for one. And all those people that lose probably try to find another deal, but I'd say at least 50% of those people are going to go continue leasing, which means next year we have a whole new group of people, even if interest rates are double in any price point, that are going to need a place to live. And what's going to happen with that, and this is what I've continued to, be really passionate about or excited about, is that we're going to have people change the trends of real estate, including luxury, where if you buy your first big boy house, you're going to stay there for 10 years. Now it's probably going to be 3 to 5 years, because your interest rate is double. And because of that, we just see a different cycling through. So yeah, there's definitely pent up demand all across the country and across North America, because at the same token, and this was announced this week, for the first time in the history of the United States, that median rent across the country is $2,000 a month. So when you start putting that together, and that's obviously with places like Los Angeles and places like Middle America, but to have $2,000 be the baseline, knowing that most people that bought multifamily zone property the last 2 or 3 years probably overpaid, they've got to hit their pro forma, which means those rents are going to increase too. So yeah, it's not the wild, wild west anymore. It's business. And I think if people can appreciate that and know that residential real estate is getting actually professional more and more each day, there's opportunities. So yeah, the pent up demand is real across all price points, including luxury.
Good God. Now, Rogers, that was spoken like a true. You've been talking on to MSNBC, Fox News a lot. Dude, that's awesome. Evan, from the international point of view, right? You see things from a different point of view, right? So global markets tend to be a little more impacted by economic change. What are you seeing in international and upper end in your guys' market? Because your guys' market is ridiculous. I mean, like you're talking $10-20 million for some of the houses. And by the way, if you ever want to question your life choices, go look at Evan's listings in general, because it's like it's nuts. What are you seeing out in Toronto, with especially with these international buyers and sellers?
Yeah, like Toronto's very much a global growth city right now. So we're getting a ton of people who are looking around the world, trying to figure out where they can safely go to raise their family, move some money if they're in an unstable country, and different things like that. And we're bringing in sort of 300,000 to 400,000 permanent immigrants a year into Canada, and 60 to 70% of those move to the GTA, to the Greater Toronto Area. So we sort of have this constant pressure of demand for new housing, and the builders just haven't been able to keep up. We've watched the interest rates, and a lot of it, I think, is like media hype and media hysteria that scares people from wanting to make that decision or willing to commit to actually making the offers. But we've followed them closely online, and we've seen like our online traffic hasn't dipped. So they're still perusing the website, they're still going through the videos and doing the 3D tours and all that stuff, but they're just not coming in to make the offer. And I think that's just because the media scared them, thinking, okay, well, I don't want to make a bad decision right now and then see this house available next week for 10% less. I'll just wait. But those who are getting off the fence and making those decisions, I have a feeling they'll be, very happy with themselves in 6 months.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good point. It just because the activity that we're experiencing has slowed down compared to the last couple of years, doesn't mean activity of consumers has slowed down. You guys are both mentioning a lot. Like, folks are still researching online, and here in the U.S., especially with this midterm election coming up, and we see this every time a midterm election comes up, is that media scares people, especially right now, like recession. But on paper right now, we're not seeing much of that, and doesn't foresee to be a problem. Because of that, let's jump into the marketing questions. And for you guys in the chat or in the audience, feel free to put your questions in. But let's talk about marketing now. Like, Rogers, in my mind, you were probably one of the best marketers I've ever seen, and consistent from the get-go, right? Because I remember you're like Britney Spears wearing your Rogers Healy is my realtor t-shirts, and those things went everywhere. It went viral almost, like casual hangouts with Hillary Swank and Minnie Driver and Rip from Yellowstone, right? Who is Shay is like, oh, we need to go hang out with Rogers again. What does marketing look like to you now? I mean, when you've got when you're dealing with celebrity, QR code, are we?
Yeah.
Getting about 8 minutes away. That's it. Also, quite.
Sorry, finish your question. I
No,
apologize.
go ahead. Yeah, what's up with the QR code? What are you doing now with marketing? How do you stay consistent?
Yeah, if y'all scan this real quick, this will link you to kind of some social stuff. This is the fanciest thing I've ever done. But marketing, I'll tell you that it's evolved. I've done this for a long time, and I think that how do you go and separate yourself from a city like Dallas? There's almost 100,000 people doing what I do every single day, and I've tried everything, and I went viral before going viral was a thing, because I was essentially making fun of our industry. But if I could share one thing, I'll tell you that you get older and you have kids and you get married, you just like, I became a quote guy. I love quotes. And there's a quote that is very simple, but it has really captured everything that I'm trying to do every single day. And it's, be yourself because everyone else is taken. And it's by a guy named Oscar Wilde, who's written books that I have not read. But I heard that quote and I was like, man, that's it. That's the secret sauce, where we have such an opportunity with stuff like social media and with, old school mailers and whatnot. But if you can find a way to lever yourself and your brand and weave that into conversation every day, you win. And, the stuff, coincidentally, Rip, the guy from Yellowstone, he's in town, but I met him through somebody else. And then the Britney Spears thing was, it's just, I'm simple. And if I go and look at marketing, if you're watching a movie and someone's drinking out of a cup, they're not drinking like this. They're drinking like this. So you can see the logo, and little things like that I've taken into stuff like billboards. Like, we're growing the company right now, and we're hiring realtors. So our billboards say, we're hiring realtors, joinrogers.com. And it's simple, where if somebody's driving by at 100 miles per hour, they remember that, and it's easy. And I think with what we're doing, you got to realize that, whether it's the luxury market, the celebrity market, or just you getting a start, the people that care about you want to see you win. And I fought that for such a long time, especially at the beginning, where I was really only going after luxury deals, right? And then if you're ignorant, you're 22 years old and your first exposure to big real estate is with people that have a lot of money, for the most part, they don't necessarily treat you like a person. They treat you like a product. And it just kind of wore me thin. So yeah, we tried everything, but I found that with self-promotion, if you can do something like this, and hey, like this is my request of y'all going and supporting me, which means if you look online and you see Rogers Healy and you follow this QR code, follow me. And that has value to me. And followers can turn into actual money if you know how to go and own your voice. So I do that kind of stuff, but at the root of it, the one thing that most people don't understand in real estate is that a lot of people can get an opportunity, but if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you're going to crap your pants and you're going to leave the industry. And I feel like that's the next phase of my career, is leading our team here and all across the world, letting you know that all this stuff means nothing unless you know what you're talking about. And so a lot of my brand too is learning how to be in my own version, whether it's on television, on a Zoom, or in person, an expert that's relatable. Because I compete against people that wear three-piece suits all day, that treat people like crap. That's not my brand. And if I can play to the law of attraction and be myself online and be myself in person and back it up with intellect, that's where I win. And I think that's what enters into the celebrity space and into the luxury space, is that I treat this Hillary Swank the same way that I treat Swanky Hillary or whatever it is. And I think that they appreciate that. And a lot of times too, people wait for you to kind of screw up to be like, I knew it, right? But if you're yourself from the get-go, it's on them. And last thing I'll add to that too is if you have hesitation with that, if y'all are worried about self-promotion, you got to get over it. You have to. You have to. That's our business. That's our livelihood. That's our job. But last thing is, if you can make fun of yourself first, you own them. And that was a really, really easy thing for me to capture. I am a perpetual failure. I have sucked at everything I've ever done, including real estate. And if I lead with that, you can't make fun of me. And because of that, it gives me a different kind of confidence. And believe it or not, in the luxury market, especially when you're competing against people that don't have a soul, you're going to win. And if you don't, that's God looking out for you, because those people that don't choose you aren't happy people. And then all of a sudden you're avoiding, a big phase of my life that I went through. So self-promotion, owning who I am, and not worrying about it, because I used to say real estate's a lifestyle. This is my job. And my job is what?
Well, I mean, and like you're you, man. It's like whenever people see you online, you're exactly the same person you are offline as well. And I think that authenticism speaks volumes. And just going off on market conditions leading off, boy, I think there's people going like, oh shit, there's some jarringness to this, and that's awesome, right? Yeah, you were talking to a hockey player before you got on here. How'd that guy find you?
First of all, did you just cuss in a real estate meeting? I caught that.
I did. Sorry.
We'll bleep that out in the edits. No, there's a guy that I was with this morning who's my favorite hockey player of all time, and his name's Chris Pronger, and I played him as a video game as a kid, and randomly a few years ago, my single biggest networking mistake was I did not leverage LinkedIn until the pandemic. And what I used to do is do a Peloton class, add people all day, and just be like, I hope they see my face. But a few years ago, this guy, Chris Pronger, added me on LinkedIn. I was like, what the hell? This can't be the same one. And then one thing led to another. And, fast forward, we've developed into being dear friends. But I was with him this morning too. And it's because I haven't asked him for anything. Like, we're friends. He's got a business. I've helped him out. I think one of the first rules of sales is the best way to get business is to give it. I found out what he did, and I sent him referrals because I wanted to be his buddy. And then it's turned into something where we're gonna start working together, in the world of real estate. But that shouldn't be, for me, that's like my daily life, not with like affluent or high profile people. It's just, I'm a doer, and I don't have the fear of screwing up. And if you take that to the next level with real estate, who cares? You lose. And if you're not prepared to fail every single day and get your butt handed to you, then you got to level up. And coming into this business, again, as a failure, my fear was somebody saying yes. And that was something I still had to get used to, including my wife. Like, I was like, you sure you want to be married to me? Like, are you like every day? And, but I think it kind of keeps me humble, but it's not hard, y'all. And just realize that if you're going to go fishing online and try to bait somebody with money, you better back up what you're acting like, because they're going to smell it and they're going to go and they're going to squash you. And if one person in that world doesn't like you, believe it or not, they're all going to find out and you're toast. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good points. Evan, on the other side of that, right? So you've got like high net worth individuals, international folks coming in. Branding might be a different play for you. I see a lot more of your listings out there, and because your listings are beautiful and you show them in a beautiful light. You've built tech during the pandemic, right? So Rogers went on LinkedIn. You built tech during the 2 years, actually almost 3, that Canada was under quarantine. What's marketing look like to you for to acquire or attract the type of business that you want?
It's funny because I think it's tied into like personalities too, where I've got sweaty palms right now talking to you all. Like I am not a be on stage in front of people kind of person. Like I like, being in the ground, being in the room, being in the media, or not in the media, but in the mix with friends and groups like that. But all of our marketing has been about doing what's best for our clients and then finding agents. So we've got 165 agents. We did just shy of $2 billion in sales last year. We've grown the company quite a bit over the past 10 years, but it's all come through, I don't want to say guerrilla marketing, but just sort of on the ground, hand to hand combat kind of growth and marketing, where my brother and I, neither of us want to be on a stage, and we turn those opportunities away as opposed to embrace them. But we've still managed to figure out our growth path, and that has been through the getting into the lunches, going to the conferences, and meeting the people that we want to connect with, and then just building those very intentional, purposed relationships. And it's like, as Roger said, like you have to be yourself. Like that's what people will connect with, and you don't want to be a disappointment, because if they're hiring you because they're attracted to you and your marketing, and then you show up and you're a totally different person, that's gonna rattle them and send them running, especially in the higher net worth. Like those people who are in those levels have gotten there for one reason or another, and a lot of the time they're quite quick to make those decisions and recognize any sort of falsehood.
Yeah. Rogers, you want to get on that? Because you look like you were antsy about wanting to chime in with Evan. You good?
I just have ADD. I'm just like, this is the longest I've sat down in my entire life. And when Evan said his palms were sweaty, I want to prove it. Show us your palms. Yeah. Evan, that's real. That's Canadian sweat. And he's going to turn that into a whole different company. It's going to be the new energy drink. The new energy drink, Canadian sweat, from the palms of a $2 billion producer. Drink this and you're guaranteed to be a successful agent.
Hey, maybe not drink it, but hey, so let's talk about expectations, right? So you guys do a lot of really good job talking about, not only what attracts these folks, but what they also need. Like Rogers, you were one of the first people like to go really heavy on social media on the actual nuts and bolts of moving celebrities. Like you showed with some athletes, Lamborghini being put on the back of a truck, right? So like, what are the expectations now? You don't need to flip it, dude. Or you can do is put the URL in the actual chat as well. You can type it.
There we go.
Have your team do that. What are the expectations of these high?
The Don King of Dallas real estate.
Yeah.
What are the expectations of these?
It's again, it's same with anybody, right? I think over communicate, tell the truth, and work your ass off. And there are some things too. What Nobu was saying is part of the very nice intro that Julie gave for me is I've built wealth creating conveniences, which is code for I've done what other people don't want to do. And so when I saw opportunities in the world of business, real estate, moving, etc., and I would see it at volume, I was like, there's not an 800-pound gorilla doing this. There's not a go-to. I was like, I'll start this. And so my story with the celebrity space, the Britney Spears story, that's something that we can share another time. But I lived in Dallas. My roommate at the time ended up being a very successful athlete. I saw the world of sports, and I'm gonna call time out and tell you all that if you work in the world of celebrity, be prepared to be less of a fan once you get access to that world, in my opinion. I don't go to sports games anymore. I don't go to sporting events anymore. I don't watch ESPN, and I'm being dead serious. It's like if you volunteer at your church, you're like, oh gosh, church is a business, right? It's like, just take me back to where I was in the pews. But they expect service, right? But they also tend to sometimes treat you like you're not a human. And I think there's a fine line that when you work with these people, and you right when you think that you're going to be your friend, they're calling you at night asking for stuff that might not have to do with real estate because you are their conduit. And I've had to learn how to go and draw the line there, whether it's something as dumb as not following them on social media or, you know, not talking to them after hours. And I think that's when it becomes a business. And if your objective in real estate is to build wealth, you've got to keep your circle really, really tight. And that was another mistake that I made up until really I met my wife, is that I thought I was friends with everybody. And then I kept getting burned, or it's like, oh my gosh, my friends, these are my friends. And those other people, I work for them. And so, you know, I think you got to know enough about it where some people are offended if you don't know where they played college or where they played their first gig or the first movie they were in. But if you treat them like everybody else, eventually they appreciate you. But my still goal here is to never say no to anything, right? Within reason, to where if you need somebody, I got somebody. And if I don't have them, I got Google. I'm going to find them quicker than anybody. And that's how Healy Global was born, is that we got Nobu in Denver, you know, Evan in Miami, Joe Blow in Tupelo, Mississippi. And if we don't have someone, we do. And taking that approach, you know, with the anxiety that I live with and with a sense of fear and a sense of urgency, I'm going to find it quicker than anybody. And then eventually that person becomes, I'm their person. Right. And then if you take a scaled approach to it with the celebrity space, if you think about it, Britney Spears, her agent, her manager probably manages 5 other people that are high net worth. And no one's going to make a decision until the golden goose approves it. And so all of a sudden you get the golden goose's eggs. And I think that's how you build a business in general. But in the celebrity world, again, once you're in, you're in. But if you screw up once, you're toast. And I learned that the hard way too, is when I became fanboy and realtor and I thought they were my pals and I would ask them to take photos with me with these t-shirts I made, I got blacklisted for a few years. And, you know, my ignorance finally got a little bit exhausted, but yeah, it's like anybody else, but with different expectations. And then last thing I'll say is, you know, if you're really trying to make money in real estate, I would really target high net worth people, not necessarily just high profile, because a lot of times high profile people are broke and then you're working for nothing, which was another lesson I had to learn. Is you write an offer, they're like, can you do this 100% financing? I'm like, what? Like on ESPN, it says how much money you're making. I'm like, oh my God. And then the next article is that you have no money. I just worked for free for 2 years, right? Just to get one of your jerseys. And that's an expensive jersey. So I think, you know, treat it like a business, and it's okay to ask the questions you would ask any normal client, because that is our job.
Yeah, that deep amount of research, man, I got to tell you, that's one of the things that I found needed to happen as well when I was dealing with these folks. Yeah, and again, thanks to you. But that same thing with almost anybody now. Research the hell out of these folks and find the rainmakers, and the rainmakers might not be the athletes or celebrities themselves. You meant it's a big point, right? And that maybe I'll pass it on to you, Evan. It's the financiers. It's the folks that handle the money. It's the agents, right? So the folks that actually are up there are the ones that maybe behind the scenes that do the work. What are your thoughts on expectations? What are your thoughts on these folks to attract their business?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody has their advisors. And when you get in touch with those advisors, those are the ones that'll actually say, use this realtor, use this guy, because I trust him. I trust her because she's not screwed anybody over. And some of them want, you know, kickbacks or whatever. And you've got to sort of figure out those worlds too. But, you know, quite often when we've, done business between Rogers and myself, you know, it's always been a conduit through somebody who isn't the face and the name on the jersey. It's somebody else that's in the locker room or, you know, is part of the organization that can make those introductions and stand in there and verify that, yeah, he's going to do whatever it takes. And it's funny because like I had that same moment too, as I was running around buying bed sheets for a baseball player that was referred to me. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is not what I want to be doing. Like, this isn't my expertise, but he didn't know who else to go to. And here I found myself just trying to do whatever I could to make him happy. And ultimately it didn't actually pan out too, because there was construction going on in the building. So then we had to get out of that deal and into something else. So you dedicate all this time and energy so that, you know, and end up with, oh, well, a teammate found me another place, so it's cool, I don't need you. And then you never hear from them again. So
but that's why we call him Egyptian Cotton Evan, is he ended up getting into that world as well.
You've spent $2,000 on sheets and pillows, and they're ditching you, and you're like, oh, this is dumb.
Well, it's
So-
means to an end too. And setting expectations. How do you set expectations with those folks? Because one of the like it's a hard thing to do with folks who have got everything, right? Like I remember vividly, Shay dealing, thanks to you, Rogers, Shay dealing with a baseball player trying to bring his Texas jacked up truck to Chicago. You can't do that because you can't park those things anywhere. While also midnight conversations about how do I make my 3 pit bulls
look like poodles because we
accessory
don't allow them in
animals, right?
Canada.
Yeah.
Wait, athletes have pit bulls? No, they're
How do you
not pit bulls when you're doing a lease. It's an American Staffordshire Terrier.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. How do you set expectations with folks? Like, so, hey, and even now, you're not going to be able to get everything in the market. You're not going to be able to get everything you want. But people who are used to getting everything, how do you set expectations with them? Rogers, how do you do that?
You draw your professional line, and then you're saying, this is what you can advise on, and then you can bring in other people.
Bring in other people.
Like Roger said, you have to have that endless book of designers and car shipping people. Like before I knew Rogers, I never knew that was something that I had to have, was somebody that could ship cars internationally, but now I do. So like you just have to be the guy that can solve, or be the person that can solve their problems. Sorry to jump on that, Rogers. You just had a lot of airtime already.
No, listen, Egyptian cotton, I get you. But no, same as Eminem over there with the sweaty palms. But yeah, but you have to also realize there's some things that you got to learn how to outsource. And I think that in the world of celebrity space too, there is a fun element to it, right? It's fun to know that you're a concierge and you're an assistant, but then you have to realize, oh my gosh, this is not necessarily worth my time. So finding other people that can help, and obviously service providers like a car shipper or a pet shipper, or a home furnisher, great. You don't need to be at all those meetings. And again, I used to just work so anxiously that if they met someone that I wasn't there and they screwed me over, it's like, if they're going to screw you over, they're going to screw you over, period. End of story. And I think that the volume that it happens with in any person that's a high net worth individual, it's real, right? And then a lot of the innocence of being a real estate salesperson is thrown out the window. But that I think comes with aging as well. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what Evan said. It's just, but treating it like a business, and just sometimes you got to kind of wait for the shoe to drop. And when it does, you're like, all right. But then every once in a while you meet somebody, like I got a buddy named Logan Verrett, who's a baseball superstar, and we've done a lot of work together. And he's just a genuinely fantastic guy that wants to see people succeed. And it kind of just gives you that, all right, I'm back in the game. It gives you like a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. Patty Hernandez from Celebration, Florida mentioned it, right? So it's about being a problem solver, but also it's an elevated problem solver, like going past the Googles of the world and high-end stuff. Yeah. Nail that. And actually with your regular clients as well, that actually does help. There are also things like, so you have to take celebrity, luxury, high profile folks, anonymizing their information. That's also a service, right? I mean, I remember talking to friends of mine that, again, through you, Rogers, they helped Julian Edelman buy a place in Providence, and he had a drone come up to his living room, right? Because you don't anonymize your information, you find out where people live. What is that like? Is there a baseline of high end like that type of services for folks? Do you help them buy through a corporation, or do you kind of leave that for the people as well, for their folks?
Evan, do you want to start?
No, please, Rogers. This is right up your alley.
So I think, look, there's nothing wrong with educating people across the board. And if it's a high profile person, you can introduce them to things such as trusts and LLCs, et cetera. But that's not necessarily our job. But I do think that an NDA can go a really long way. But word is going to spread. And, if it's TMZ or if it's ESPN or if it's the local news, they're going to find out in places like Texas because it's public information unless it's protected. But, I used to own that too. I used to feel really bad if somebody high profile was doing a deal with us anywhere and it made the news. I would immediately try to squash it. But I was like, you know what? They're used to this. And, that's why privacy is really important. But I do think that, if it's Julian Edelman, who played for the Patriots for a while and he bought a place in Providence, Rhode Island, there's a reason a lot of the Patriots live in Rhode Island versus in Back Bay, Boston. It's because it's quieter, it's not fanboy central, and it feels more like home. But there's also a reason that people that play in the NBA want to play for the Lakers, right? They want to play for the Lakers because everywhere you go, you're noticed, and that builds their brand. And it's not just Russell Westbrook and LeBron James, it's people like Swaggy P, who was not a good basketball player, but he built his brand by being everywhere in LA. And through that, it's a smart move that his social media presence helps him earn a few $1 million outside of basketball. So I think it's kind of user preference, but you know, it's a hard thing to master unless you're working with baseball or soccer or hockey people, because for the most part, they're not the most recognizable athletes because they're not super tall or super big. So when you have an NBA player or a football player in a city like Dallas, those are the ones that, you know, they don't get like mobbed, but it's hard to go unnoticed, even if you're on an airplane, because simply the first thing somebody ignorant asks a 7-footer is, do you play basketball? Right? And they're not going to be like, no, I'm a bowler. It's like, yeah, I play basketball. So that's just kind of their own cross to bear, that we can't really help with that. It's just eventually Evan and I want to get recognized. Are you male model, Evan? I am, but like, I'm also a realtor. And you know,
Eyes up here.
yeah, eyes up here, focus, you know, you shake my hand check. But yeah, I think just giving them as much as you can and having a, you know, enough layers, but not letting it go live.
You never want it to come from you. Like, discretion is paramount, and you need to be a vault with this stuff. And yeah, if somebody sees a, you know, high net worth recognizable figure walking through, then so be it. But it just, I don't know, like, we have the master of this stuff on the calls. I don't want to squash it because he puts jerseys up and has all that stuff, where, you know, I've told our agents not at all, like, it needs to be low key. So
Yeah, it's knowing that line, right? It's knowing that line, to your point, Rob, what marketing is for them and what discretion is for them, what corporate almost anonymity means to them, because sometimes they don't think about it, right? You know, and Evan, like with the high net worth folks, sometimes they don't want the rest of their employees, especially in this kind of crazy time that we're living in right now, this cancel culture. He's like, sometimes they don't want their $30 million purchase to be shown on the news, right? So it's guiding them through these type of.
And if we have a workaround where if you pay your land transfer taxes outside of the zone that you're closing in, it actually, the name doesn't get attached, so it can't be researched. So they don't have to close in a trust or in another numbered company or anything if they want to just go through that. But you know, we see that for high net worth right through to anybody who wants that privacy.
Yeah, it's talking to the money people and the corporate people about what their wants and needs are, connecting them with your folks, and then you know, the marketing aspect as well. You know, what that line is. You know, it's a thing. We got 15 minutes left, folks. You guys want to keep put your questions and your comments in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. So let's talk about here in Denver, right? So we've got kind of the triple threat. We've got investment property here, like somebody can go and buy land here to your point, Rogers, with what you're doing now. And we've got multifamily. We got Vail and Aspen here, and I know you guys have been out here for that. How do agents that are on this call earn your business? Do they need to think about marketing? We have two very distinct styles of doing business here. Evan, how would they earn your business for like a referral out in the mountains or investment property?
Sure. I mean, like, I love working with people that I know, like, and trust, like anybody else. You want to build those relationships, and then it makes it really easy to say, yeah, Rogers is the guy to go to in Dallas. Like, no question. You need somebody, you talk to him. You know, Shay's the one in Chicago. Like, it's, you know, like, and trust these people. You find them at events, and if you're scrambling to find somebody to solve a problem for another client, you got to have a good social media and have your LinkedIn up to snuff, so that when somebody's Googling Chattanooga, Tennessee, that they can find you and be like, oh, cool. You know, look at these different, you know, approaches and the kind of videos and the kind of social media stuff that they post is somewhat familiar. So I'm going to reach out to Brandy and see what she's up to, and maybe send her a referral. So like Toronto, again, like, we're a major hub, so we see a lot of international inflow. So it's pretty easy to connect with people. But I think having a good, strong online presence, as well as just being out there at events and trying to connect with people, person to person.
Really kind of marketing your knowledge and expertise.
There's no, everybody wants fast, speedy ways to do things. Like, this is a grind. Like, it takes time. You need to be intentional.
Yeah. Rogers, what about you? Like, it's not out of the norm for you to call the people that my wife and others, on a Thursday and say, hey, this athlete's coming in tomorrow. You need to drop everything for them and their money person and their wife/girlfriend, right? What are your thoughts on earning your business?
Well, don't just leave it on calling your wife on a Thursday. Your wife is a realtor. For all you, it's not. I call my own wife on a Thursday too. So just for all you people trying to cancel me, there's a story there. Look, it's top of mind awareness, like anything. All right. So if you're top of mind, then that's going to be the first memory that I have. And there are some people in my headspace with Healy Global or with just me. Evan owns Toronto. Period. End of story. If we have somebody coming through Toronto, Evan's going to get it because he's also. Look at that. Oh, look, wow.
You remember sending this to me? 2012.
No, I don't. 2012. Look at
this
that.
showed up in the mail. This is my only award that I have on my shelf.
Well, look at that. Vintage. So look, there's some people you're just loyal to for the right reasons. And I think that in life, the people that are the best marketers get the most opportunities, but the people that know what they're doing get the most return clients. And we do that. But with what I'm trying to scale with all the companies is we got to make sure that everybody knows what we're doing. And I'm not going to make anything exclusive. But again, like, there's some people that Evan's going to get Toronto for forever. And that's because he's great at what he does. And he's a great marketer, but he's proven for, 10, 11 years to be a valuable partner. Same with Shay and same with other people. But the best way to disrupt something is to go and send business the other way. And whether it's in Dallas or Chattanooga, we can help anybody anywhere, whether it's in Canada or it's in Brazil, it's in Ireland. And if we see those people sending us a deal, they're at the top of the docket. And then when money comes in, it's like you don't want to owe somebody lunch. It's like, for me, how do I go and pay them back as quick as I can? And if it's not a market like Toronto or Denver, then how do we get it back to them as quick as possible? But, I think that's anything in business. And again, it goes back to getting celebrity business and getting high net worth people's business. It's not hard, period. It's not hard. You just have to grind away at the game, and you have to go and sit there longer than anybody else. And eventually it starts playing to your favor and it starts to dump off, where the hard part is managing the business, which most people are not prepared for. And that happened for me very quickly. And I was able to, grow a business where I forgot to continue growing the relationships. And that's a whole nother Zoom, is being sincere with networking and hustling, which I think I am. But when you move at my pace, sometimes people get offended. And if you offend somebody again, high net worth, high profile, see ya, you're out.
High ego.
Yeah.
Jennifer Zummer was actually asking a really good question for you guys or for anyone else in the audience in the chat. If you're brand new, where do you go? Where do you go to network with luxury agents, celebrity agents, athlete reps like you guys? And maybe even contrast what you did back then versus what you do now, because is it different now versus back then? Evan?
Sure. I mean, it takes, you have to grind. And so you have to figure out where those people are. You have to get to the restaurants, get to the places where they're hanging out, meet them. If they're not going to the conferences and connecting that way, you can find them online and reach out. Rogers wouldn't turn down an email if somebody genuinely wanted to have a 5-minute conversation about something. I wouldn't either. Most people in this business are quite friendly and outgoing. So if you see somebody that you want to connect with for a coffee or for something, then reach out and ask them.
Yeah, Rogers, what do you think about if you were to do it in Dallas, what would you do?
Same thing I did. Go alone, be bold, be relentless, and be yourself. And,
put your name on everything.
Do what?
Put your name on everything.
Yeah. Don't get married till you're 40. So yeah, I think that, again, it's not a genius's world here. We're living in real estate. And the more you sit and think about it, you're like, let me map it. It's like, I've already done it. Okay. I've already gotten over there and I've already made mistakes and I've already, picked up the pieces. But yeah, just think of the lowest hanging fruit. And it's the cliches are cliche and the stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, because they're true. So let's think about this. Easiest way to meet an athlete: football games are on Sunday. The players have Monday off. Let's go to a nightclub where the football players are. I'm going to go by myself and I'm going to buy them a drink, which means they're going to say thank you. They're going to shake my hand. What's your name? Okay, here we are. And then the game starts. And I would do this kind of stuff where eventually they recognize me from the drink I bought them 2 weeks ago. Hey man, how you doing? Great. And then all of a sudden you're invited into it's strategy, but it's with sincerity. And, you know, I just think being genuine, but you got to be bold. And I do think there's a lot of value to networking by yourself. And if you go anywhere, as much as you don't want to hear this, don't take another realtor with you, period.
Yeah.
Like that's the person that's taking food off your plate. And I think that's a blessing and a curse to be friends with other realtors. But if you're going to go somewhere with a mission, go by yourself. You don't have anyone you have to be responsible for. In and out, peace out. That's the game. So yeah, I think that stuff like that works. But I probably, the only thing I would have done differently back in the day is I would have had better systems for myself. And I was a bull in a china shop, which obviously I still am, but I didn't have a way to manage the maintenance, and that cost me referral business. And that just took me getting older to realize what I sucked at, I'm always going to suck at. But if I can be myself for a living, that's a whole different, opportunity.
Yeah. I think here in Denver, just from what I've experienced, if seeing this market and the siloedness, the first thing, Jennifer and Angie, what I would do is get your network together, because in this market, especially, you got Aspen, you got Vail, you got land, you got a bunch of different ways to do it. You got to get your people together now, your team, to help these folks no matter what, because that Russell Wilson will come in and have an option of buying up in Aspen, Evergreen, Vail, all these other places, and here, maybe even both. So get that stuff squared away, but also go like deep into the news. Like a good example, again, Russell Wilson starts a charity here. It's not about him coming here. He's got $300 million to spend, right? And a lot of that's going to be through things like charity. Go and partner with the charity. Go to his wife's shop up in Cherry Creek. These are all things that you need to do based on research. And what Rogers and Evans mentioned too is like, stop hanging out with other realtors. Most of their ideas suck anyways. So if you're going to go out and do your own thing and be authentic on your own and be bold, to Rogers's point.
Well,
right.
and I really like the idea of being intentional. Like, you really have to think through, where can you be spending, like, there's 24 hours in a day, where can I be spending my time most efficiently to grow in the direction I want to grow? And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing volunteer work with intention of long-term business. You just can't show up and say, here's my business card, I'm a realtor, give me referrals, I like referrals. Like, you have to be in it for a very genuine reason. And I've done a lot of high net worth business through my volunteer, efforts in my life. So it does pay off, but it doesn't, that's not why you're there in the first place.
All right. With the last couple of minutes that we have, what are you guys going to be doing over the next 6 months to a year to kind of tap into that pent up demand that you're seeing? And everyone, by the way, is saying that after this holiday season, there's a lot of feeling both on the Wall Street end of things and real estate that there's a dam that's building up and that it'll be released next year when people feel good again. What will you be doing now to prepare for the next 6 months to a year's worth of business? Rogers, want to go first?
I've randomly gotten big into the bed sheet industry, so I'm starting to go and buy a bunch of sheets. So I'm shorting sheets, but it's same thing. Just go out there and learn how to go and live in between living in panic and having a sense of urgency. And if you do that, it perpetuates, like anything. Evan and I are here because we've compounded decades of working our faces off, and we're not recession proof, but we're not as volatile as people that live and die by the deal. And I think by doing that, again, the intention of it, right? And then leading by example to our teams and making sure people are seeing that we're working just as hard as we're encouraging them to work, which is, the daily goal, but also enjoying life, which is a big focus of me right now, is that I'm trying to be present with my family, because I actually have one now, which means I might lose a deal. That's okay. And if Russell Wilson doesn't use us through Healy Global, that's okay, because that's probably not worth chasing, because you can go get 10 other deals that are going to collectively add up to the other that are going to be easier to get. And so, I think it's just being realistic, but also studying the market. And a big differentiator that we can go and have against most realtors is we can be smarter than them. And by having a conversation about the market, y'all now know about the market in Dallas, Denver, Miami, and Toronto, which means you know more than 99% of people in your market. And how do you have a conversation with that? It sets you apart because they're going to think that you have intellectual diversity, which means most realtors are one-trick ponies, and there's a way to learn. So yeah, I think just keep doing my thing, but good, bad, and different. I don't have an end goal. My company's not for sale. There's never going to be a day where I'm like, I've made it. Let's learn how to play golf. It's just like I work. And when you do that for a long time, it becomes your normal routine. And I think that's when you can capitalize on something by being yourself at a whole different scale.
Yeah, Evan's tea time is 2 minutes from now. Evan, what are you doing over the next? Maybe there's some questions about tech in there too. I know you've been building your tech, you've been doing a lot of things on that end. Maybe talk about what you're going to be doing to prepare for the next couple of years.
Trying to recharge a bit too, like try and take advantage of any downtime that's offered, because when you do get busy, like it gets crazy and you don't want to stop, because that's what you've been working your butt off to get going. So right now, with the markets being where they are, trying to find that extra downtime, those extra tea times if you're a golfer. Yeah, we had our own, I won't get into the tech, but we had our own process that we were going through to try and solve some problems for our agents here. And then we had the opportunity to turn it into our own software tool. So we jumped on that and, invested a lot of the past year and a half, 2 years of extra time into building that. So we'll be road showing it and trying to get that growing as well. But, we're a bit nervous because like our focus is Sage Real Estate and growing the brokerage here in Toronto, not becoming a tech company. But, we'll see if we can find the right breaks in that world too.
Yeah, and Donna Hanson actually asked a really good question. What are your guys' non-negotiables? Rogers, you're brand new dad, love your kid. Haven't met your wife yet, and glad she puts up with you for as long as she has. But
what if I said me either? Yeah, I just
married up, dude. What are your non-negotiables over the next couple months? As you want to have that sense of urgency, but you also want to have a life too.
I mean, same thing as always, right? Character. I do a podcast now, which I'll promote this too if you didn't scan my QR code, called Rogers That. And it's a podcast about selling without selling out. And that's been day one for me. I don't want to be around people I don't respect. I don't want to be around punks. And real estate has a lot of people I don't respect and a lot of punks, which means I hang out with people at my company and then I don't hang out with other realtors. But just don't get sucked in. And don't go do what other people are doing just because they're doing it, because the common thread is they're probably not doing it right. So for me, it's just, I'm a big personality and I own it, but just having a child, magnifies the most important thing in life. But yeah, I'm gonna breathe and still do my thing, but I want to be surrounded by people that make me better. And in turn, I want to make them better. And that's not a 6 month or a 1 year plan. That's a forever plan. And hopefully I've done that since day one.
Awesome. Evan, last word, non-negotiable for you.
Just keep learning. I mean, keep coming to these events or doing whatever you can to figure out where things are going next. Like change is inevitable. It's always going to be, something we have to deal with. And I found early on that the people that embrace change and sort of jumped in with 2 feet were always the ones that were, ahead of the game. So for me, it's always looking to figure out who else is out there that's doing it better than us, because I can learn from them and then try and, take little bits and pieces and put them into our company, into my practice.
Awesome. Well, guys, Rogers, Evan, it's always a joy to talk to you guys. I miss you too. I wish I could see your
miss
face.
You guys. Good to see everybody.
The last time we were together, believe it or not, everybody, we were in a steam room in robes. And I just realized that. So I'm glad that we have pants on. At least I have pants on. So good to see you guys.
Wow, that's a story for another time. Another podcast.
If you scan this right here, I have photos that will immediately be sent to your phone. So
And it's Rogers with an S and Evan Sage with an S as well. You guys, thank you so much for being on the Zoom. And for those of you guys in the chat, stick around and I can send you guys some dirt. Evan's going to go dry off his palms and play golf, and Rogers is going to go run around his office a couple times. Thank you guys all for being on the Zoom. Thank you for Chase. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, and Julie, we'll pass it on to you.
Lastly, Nobu, happy birthday.
Oh, shit.
Happy birthday, Nobu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Everyone, happy birthday to Nobu.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Evan, thank you. Julie, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
All
DMAR.
right. Thank you guys so much for sharing all that great information. I hope you all took away some great tidbits from these guys. If you would like to stick around for a little bit and network, we've got people from Florida, Texas, and Denver. Might be a good opportunity to exchange some information. So hang on just a minute. I have a couple of announcements. For those industry partners on the line, we've got 3 of our Rockstar industry partners on a panel together on Tuesday, September 27th. That's next week. Right here in person at DMAR headquarters. You can register for that online. That is for our industry partners. You want to learn how to work with our realtors and some of these luxury realtors, you should be at that event. We also, on Wednesday, September 28th, we have YPN Presents, Essential Mindsets and Skill Sets for a New Market. As this is kicking off a new monthly YPN Presents, it's going to be the 4th Wednesday of every month, with a different topic each time. And for September, we're going to be joined by Eric Thompson, founder of the Leading Edge Academy. So there's great information here about this shifting market. You won't want to miss that one. That again is in person. It is hosted by YPN. And our sponsor for that is actually Renata White with Colton Morgan. So she's going to be providing a yummy lunch. So please join us. Again, register online on the calendar. And then upcoming dates, we do have a social media boot camp. Some of you may have been to the first one this week. It is hosted by our very own Nobu Hada. Part 2 of that one will be October 4th. We're going to cover Facebook, October 12th, Instagram and TikTok, November 2nd, leverage live and digital video, and November 17th, Google, SEO, SEM, and how content earns business. All of those guys are on our DMAR website. You can register for those on the calendar. They are free, but we ask that you register so we know that you're coming. All great information. Again, thank you so much to Chase Bank, our annual sponsor, Matthew, and to Stephanie Overmeyer, Cross Country Mortgage. Thank you guys for supporting the work we do here at DMAR. If you guys want to hang on, stay on the line for a bit, talk to each other. Probably some good stuff on here.
Yeah, we got a good mix of folks here. Miami and Denver, cold and warm, just to let you know. It's not hard to get to Miami from here. And just incidentally, with both of those guys, they actually own fairly large brokerages. So like if you want to hit them up, the best thing to do is actually follow them on social media. Get into their same equation when it comes to marketing. And culturally speaking, we didn't get into it, but they have some pretty good culture within their brokerages of service and elevated kind of hands-on white glove customer interaction. So, you know, they're pretty good. Yeah. So what Evan Sage developed literally during his time in quarantine was a deep dive into MLS data. So, you know, they built a product that allows you to figure out how much equity people have actually earned so they can cash out quicker. So it's a number of it and a bunch of others are a number of tech I'm actually looking to bring here on that note. We're gonna need a lot more data than what we're being given from the MLS on how much homes are actually worth now, because it's going to be pretty volatile over the next couple of years. Yeah, I got some Rogers Healy's folks. Thank you, Hillary, for allowing Rogers to be on there and handling him. That dude is the epitome of ADHD. Good God. He did not have coffee today. He's not a coffee guy. Anybody have any questions on anything? Athlete stuff, celebrity stuff?
Yep. So I don't know which bars and clubs that celebrities and athletes go to in Denver. Like, of all the places, where do they go?
Yeah. Somebody had to be brave to ask that question, right? Here's I don't know where they go either. And what you literally need to do is talk to the clubhouse guys.
Okay.
Talk to the clubhouse guys. And that's actually the best way to do things in general. The clubhouse guys usually know everything because they're the ones that talk to the athletes firsthand. And I would say for 99% of us, helping somebody who is a athletic trainer on the team is actually a better business model for you guys.
Yeah.
Because while you might have the desire to help, Russell Wilson buy a house, he was talking to his realtor, I guarantee you, 6 months ago when they were talking about this deal, right before he even came to town. But knowing the front office, back office, clubhouse guys for the athletes themselves is actually the best way to know what's happening and where. And Rogers didn't tell you that, but that was a pretty big business model for him, is knowing who the people were. And I would also say there are three types of athlete specifically. The long-term contract people are the ones that are going to be looking to buy. Okay, they're going to be looking to buy, and they're going to spend a lot of money. Those are kind of the whale, and they're going to have families more than likely. So so when like a Cubs player drops in my wife's lap from Rogers, it's literally renting a Mercedes Sprinter for the day and bringing the whole family with them on showings, and you're literally dropping everything for these folks, right? So the families, the young kind of rookies that have the big contracts, but they're listening a lot to their wealth management people because it's a big issue. So what I did when I was helping the baseball players, I actually would go to spring training. I would go to spring training, and I would talk to the advisors there. So go to camp, because these guys are learning about the plays, but they're also learning about things like managing their money, because a lot of these guys were literally dirt poor. Or if you're in college, you had nothing, right? And they have $5, $10, $20 million bonuses dropping in their laps. And the wealth management people, you need to know them because they will send you more after that. And then you have the kind of the second and third rung players who most athletes won't buy in the markets that they're living in, especially when you're talking about baseball players, soccer players. They don't even live in the country most of the time. And if they do, they're in Florida. So this is why Florida is actually really great to set up, because it's very tax friendly to live in Florida. And those guys lease. So you might want to have a really good leasing agent to help them out with that. And the problem with Denver in general is that it sucks here if you're a leaser. So that's actually a business model that you can they can put into play. All right. So learn how seasonality works with them. Go to camps. The best thing to do is go to the camps, spring training, anything like that. It's the best way to do it. And that's why half of them are in Florida. That's why it's really good to set up a good network with Florida agents.
I wanted to mention something. I want to get into this market, and full disclosure, I do not concentrate in luxury. However, I am wanting to learn more. I have no idea. I do not follow sports, so I would not know who to contact, or even if I see a celebrity, whether it's a singer or a player, I would not know because I'm not very out there to see that type of culture. So to me, it's kind of hard to find out where to go. I don't have a problem. And I remember one of the presenters saying, go on your own. That's what I do. Even I network with, I am with Keller Williams. However, my networking is outside of Keller Williams because business is everywhere. I don't per se do business with Keller Williams because my business is coming from other agencies, because that's what I do. So I don't have a problem networking, going out on my own, but I don't know the places to go. And like per se in Central Florida, we have the soccer team of the MLS. I think it's Orlando City. Even though I play soccer, I do not know much about the players. So I guess I can have access, just go to their training and everything. But other than that, what are your point outs that I should be attending more often?
Yeah. It would literally be the business aspect. Like follow what the team does from the business point of view, right? So you want to go to their special events. You want to go to their a lot of them will actually do calls for action for financial advisors. So you want to be a party to that. So now you're going into the guts of the system. Do you want to concentrate on that? Follow what the team does, and like LinkedIn is a really good place for that. Follow the company or the sports team on LinkedIn because they actually do their press releases through that. It's a safer place to do it. But then if you get an athlete drop in your lap, you do need to research, because the moment you don't stroke their ego, to Rogers's point, to Evan's point, the moment you don't know where they went to college, because, listen, like when they do the Broncos introduction, they're talking literally, here's my position, here's where I went to college. Stuff like that, where you need to stroke that ego to the point where they at least you know them, and if they feel that you know them, they will trust you, because they are a pain in the ass. I will tell you that from a personal point of view. They are a pain because they're getting everything. Sometimes you need to have the wealth management person to be the bad guy, right? No, you can't afford this. That's the big one, right? So you don't need to actually know the celebrity or who they are, but when they drop in their lap, you better research the hell out of it and go deep. But yeah, more than anything, real estate stuff, they're trying. Real estate brokerages are trying to have these things. But for the most part, it's a network outside of real estate that makes you money, right? From both the celebrity, luxury, and athlete point of view. So recommend an appraiser in Colorado for 6 to 10 minutes. If you want to hit our website, DMARealtors.com, we have a bunch of appraisers in our industry partner list, and they can definitely help you out with that. We should have a bunch of them for you guys. Yeah. Any other questions? That was pretty fun. I love.
Hey, Nobu.
Yeah.
Hey, Nobu. It's Jay Manansala. Hey,
Hey.
I just wanted to chime in. I'm not a real estate agent, but I pay attention to a lot of this thing. So I think in the luxury market, it doesn't always have to be a celebrity or an athlete or professional athlete, right? So for example, there was a real estate agent out in Louisville who, who makes a lot of donations to high school sports in the area. And, because her name is recognized, she does really good, provide great services. I mean, her clients are parents of these students, and they're buying $2-3 million homes in the Boulder County area. I think that's a great way to start, and usually typically if a client is buying a $3 million home, they probably know other people who can afford $3, $4, $5 million homes as well.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Jay. We're all in markets, guys. We're Texas, Denver, Florida. There's some people, especially these elite millennials, who are making a lot of money in the stock market, and they're buying what used to be luxury, right? But they're like, that's a new normal to them. Buying a $2-3 million house is not a big deal for a lot of folks. And then some of them are turning around and buying $10 million second homes. It's kind of a crazy time. If you made a lot of money in the stock market the last 3-4 years, a lot of them are cashing out on that, and they're buying their houses because it's a great place to be. Good point, Jay. Where I see to that point is old school luxury folks looking at these new money folks and treating them like crap. That's what Evan was, or that's what Rogers was talking about, is that there's this snootiness sometimes that real estate people can put off. You want to be inclusive, especially of these folks who've just got money dropped in their laps because they've invested really, really well the last couple of years. Great point, Jay. And thank you, Patty, for chiming in on that. Anything else? I think there's how many of them? There's 38 people here. Lord, what are y'all doing? Checking emails, researching. Evan, I would say, is one of the more involved people. He goes to a lot of NAR stuff. He's very involved with the National Association of Realtors and with the Canadian Real Estate Association. So, if you're if you want to get involved, guys like Evan, what you want to do is go to the conferences and we go out for beers. So if anybody wants to go to Orlando, let me know. We'll
I'll be at NAR. So if anyone is coming to NAR, it's going to be in Orlando, I believe in October. I believe I put my email and my phone number, so you can contact me and we can get together so we can start forming a relationship.
The Florida Realtors always has a really good happy hour in Orlando. So if any of you guys are Denver folks want to go out there, or even, if there's some Texas folks there, actually Texas always gets invited, so don't worry about it. But if you want to go out, could introduce you to folks like Patty out there. Cool.
Hey, Nobu, there was a question about what are must-have systems again.
Yeah. I tell you what, guys, a must-have system has been the must-have system since the beginning. It's CRMs. Good Lord, if I had a nickel for every time asked me about a CRM, I'd be a very rich man. You need to know, especially when it comes to high-end folks, because they're going to be looking for extended periods of time. The moment somebody comes into your system, you need to be able to track them, right? So I'm sure what Rogers has, but I know that Evan uses RealVolve, they're actually based here in Denver. He uses RealVolve, and he can track how and message these people during the course of their lead curation period. The big thing with referrals, to both of their points, actually to almost any of these folks, that you need to give referrals to these guys in order to get, Jennifer's number of follow-up boss is great. But any kind of deeply integrated CRM to email is good. Plus add the people who you refer to and get referrals from to your CRM as well, so you can thank them. All right, Rogers and Evan both get a really good thank you gifts every year from people like my wife and everyone else that they give business to, right? So know your referral sources and add them to your CRM as well. So the question was RealVolve. Yep, RealVolve. But frankly, I don't care what you use. Use an Excel spreadsheet for God's sake, but use something, because that's the greatest issue within real estate, is we don't know how to keep track of our people we made happy. But the network, high net worth individuals in general, you might need to drop everything and go show 50 houses, 5, not 50, in a given weekend without any notice. So knowing agents, especially the ultra high end, like knowing who these people are and being able to tap into what they have coming up. I hate to say here, but because I'm not really supposed to, but there's a lot of pocket listings, listings that might be ready to go. They might be not on the MLS that are out there. So knowing who these people are is huge. What example of a killer referral gift? This is why paying attention to social media is awesome, is because people like Rogers, who has a large ego, as you guys can tell, will basically telegraph everything he wants and needs. That dude's got everything. Like sending him a gift to his kid. He's got a newborn. He is incredibly sentimental now. He is such as much as that bravado came across, that dude cries at the tip of a hat. So helping something with his kid. He's married to Abby, who is fantastic. It's sending them a gift, that matters. So pay attention. Don't send them a gift basket. Are you back, Jennifer?
To your point, Nobu, I was just going to say, listening and absorbing everything you're saying, that's why probably it's so important to follow and really pay attention on social media, because we post about things we love, we like, great experiences we've had, and that can look personal when you're following that and picking up on their hobbies and whatnot, and then integrating that into more personalized thank you gifts.
Yep. Oh my God, just pay attention. If realtors shut up 90% of the time, I think we'd be okay. And like with Rogers, he didn't mention it either, but he's got a whole Rogers, like Rogers Healy, this is the crap I'm listening to. Send him vinyl. I sent him all my favorite vinyl albums as gifts. Jennifer, you have a question?
No, I have a statement. So I would like to create a referral network. So I have taken note of everyone who's put their contact information in the chat. If you have not, and you are hoping to pair with someone from Denver who comes across people who are looking to move to Florida or wherever you're tuning in from today, please put your contact information in. I will reach out to you before I reach out to anyone other agents on Zillow. So yeah, let's get that going.
Hey, you know what you guys got to do? You got to market it. You got to market the hell out of it. You know what sellers need right now? They need exit strategies. And if you can help a seller sell their house here and retire to Miami, now you got a listing and a referral in your pocket. You got to market the hell out of your exit strategies that you have for sellers. Sorry for all the
Actually, Jennifer sent them to the Orlando area or the Tampa area. Just kidding.
But market it. And that's actually, I don't know what brokerage you're with, Jennifer, but you know, leverage the relationships your brokerage has as well if you've got one that's got the legs. And hit me up. Literally, I know 48 states and like 5 countries worth of real estate people. So I can help you. I can put you in the right direction. Cool.
I think that does it, huh?
Did you copy and paste all your names, Jennifer? You good? All right, cool.
Do we have yours, Nobu?
Oh, okay. Here you go.
You can also find Nobu on our DMAR website. If you don't
Got
catch
it.
it in the chat.
Got it.
Thanks all. That was a fun one. Appreciate you guys being here. Sorry for the cuss words. That's big in Texas. They don't like me cussing in Texas. So that'll be bleeped out. Seriously, they're weird out there. I love you, Texans. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.